Here we go. All right.
Stretch it out.
It's only audio only, does it? You can always go back.
See, it's weird when we go live on Twitch. We have to be like, I'll be silent and just get ready to go. It's a little bit different now. All right. All right, and welcome to the Gankbush podcast. I'm your host, Fringe Average. For those of you listening for the first time, we are the only explicit Heroes of the Storm podcast where all the different co-hosts represent different play levels. We have someone as low down as a silver type player all the way up to a master level player. We bring you the latest hot news and discuss the latest tips and strategies so that you can become a better player. So this week is a little bit different because we are audio only this week. It's a blast from the past. We haven't done this in a while. The reason why that is because Bacon moved from Beaufort, Georgia, all the way to somewhere in North Carolina, South Carolina, one of the Carolinas.
Yeah.
So he moved yesterday, so we're doing audio only. So let's go ahead and introduce our master level player. That is Scott, who's calling in from his spot in San Francisco, California.
Yeah, good to be here. The one and only master level player on the podcast today.
Oh, there you go. You officially have the highest MMR of the show.
I'm climbing up.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and introduce our silver type player. That is Tyra Baron, who's calling in from San Diego.
What's up, Fringe? It's good to be here in the Nexus.
And lastly, we have a special guest for you. For those of you who watched Bush League on Monday, we have CatPeach, who's calling in from her palatial estate in San Francisco, California.
It seems to be very California heavy.
I know, it feels weird.
For folks in this podcast tonight.
I know, it's the first time ever. California's
West
dominating.
Coast is the best coast.
Hey.
West Side.
Oh, God.
Is that still a thing?
96.
Is that still a thing? I don't know.
Maybe when you were like a freshman in high school, that was a thing.
Everyone was doing like this, right? Like that?
Oh, wow. People can't see you throwing up the
W's.
gang sign, but
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Very hardcore of you.
Right?
How edgy.
So thank you, CatPeach, for lowering your standards and joining us tonight. So,
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
So for the viewers who don't know who you are, tell the people more about yourself.
Yeah. So I started out last year over at Heroes Hype as the website manager, actually, and have since sort of transitioned to streaming HOTS, doing some content creation for them. I was at Heroes of the Dorm talking with a bunch of players and casters and things like that. And then got into casting earlier this year. So been doing that for Nexus Gaming Series. Got to do it for Bush League earlier this week at the last minute. So that was exciting. And yeah, so you'll see me around on other people's streams casting along with them as well. So that's kind of what I do.
Oh, awesome. And I was actually, it's funny that we booked you to come on the show like a week ago, and then last minute you ended up doing Bush League. So for those of you at home, we booked her before Bush League, and we're really excited that you did do Bush League because I watched the VOD the next day, and it was actually really good. And you did it solo, which is really hard to do.
Yeah, I haven't done a solo cast in quite some time, and definitely toward the end of that, I was like, all right, throat's going a little bit, got to keep it together.
Yeah.
So, but it was pretty good for going back to it, for sure. But yeah, solo casting is always interesting because you have to pretend still that you're talking to someone else, but that someone else is just you, and so you feel a little bit like a crazy person. But it's fun and definitely something everyone should try, I think, if they're interested in casting.
It's hard. You have to know about talents and everything.
Yeah, you have to be your color and your play-by-play sometimes at the same time, and you step on your own toes at that point. So
yeah, because I co-casted with Daz in the last week of the regular season, and like it's really hard because I was actually trying to narrate and tell people where to go during the game, but they couldn't hear what I was saying. But that's all I could really do.
That was hilarious. I was just like watching as a viewer. I was like, they can't hear you, right? Like, why are you red team? You guys go soak now. Who are you trying to tell that to?
And a lot of times he was like, can't you guys see him in that bush? They're in that bush right there. Like, no, there's fog of war. We can't see them in that bush.
Oh, Blemish feeding again. He's a feeder.
yep, totally intentional.
Throwing shade.
Yeah. But Scott, is that true though? Doesn't Blemish feed?
Oh, man.
Yikes.
I'll say in order for them to win the series next week, he's got to play a lot better than he played last week.
There you go. That's very neutral. That doesn't make sense.
Well,
Say about anybody.
he's probably the best player on that team. You know, you got to carry the games, not a feed.
All right. So let's get the plugs out of the way. So we stream every Wednesday, usually on Wednesday nights on Twitch at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you listen to us on iTunes or Stitcher, please subscribe and or rate and review the podcast. That really helps us out a lot. We are now on Spotify, and actually a lot of you like Spotify because I can see the downloads, and it's actually quite a high number of you. So if you have any friends who play the game, please spread the word about the show. If you want to talk with us, please join our Discord, and or we have a channel in BNet called Wintime, one word, Wintime. If you have any questions for the show, please DM me on Discord. If you want to support us financially, please go to our Patreon, and there all the money goes into going back into the community, such as supporting Calm Before the Storm, getting swag for our listeners, and doing other fun stuff like helping support our casters who do Bush League. So if you go to YouTube, you can find the videos of the live show as well as other types of content that we create. And if you go to gankbushsquad.com, you can find links to all of the aforementioned content hubs. Okay, all right. So, quick announcements. So, Bush League, the playoffs is on Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And DJ Tyrant from the Nexus Commentaries is going to cast it, and I will be co-casting with DJ Tyrant. So, if you want to watch Tower Baron's team play against Zexorus's team, please watch it on Monday.
I will only guarantee that it'll be a better game than last Monday's game.
Well, you know, when you have Team Dignitas, it's not that hard. It's hard to give us a fight.
Yeah, off camera, Fringe was just saying, dang, CatPeach was a pretty good cast, but I wish we just had better games for her to cast.
that is kind of true.
They were exciting for me. You know, I got to talk about Brightwing 2 games in a row, so that was good. Don't get to do that very often.
Yeah, we'll actually get to this later, but I think now with the current PTR patch, I think Brightwing could be the overall best support, but we'll talk about that later on in the show.
Well, I'd like to say that you are misinformed or slow, because the patch came out today with pretty much everything but Alteric Valley and...
Was that what happened today?
Yeah. Alteric Valley and Uriel are
awesome.
on. Pretty much everything else is.
Ooh, good.
Oh.
Okay, so all right. So Tarabrand created a top 10 plays for Bush League, and that is on our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch, half of them are actually what's the opposite of plays? Like
it's
fails.
plays / misplays
/ fails.
Plays / fails.
So if you want to see the top 10, please go to our YouTube channel. Tarabrand, I'm going to almost use his real name. Tarabrand spent a good amount of time creating that, so it's pretty good. Also, we need 2 more tickets for BlizzCon, so if you know anyone who has any spare ones, please let us know. All right, so we have a good show for you. We're going to discuss the new character. So is Uriel in the Nexus now, or is she in the PTR?
Still PTR.
Okay, all right. So we're going to talk about Uriel. We're going to talk about the new map, Alteric Pass. And then we'll discuss the other changes that went live today, right? We're good, right? Scott?
Yep.
All right, good.
That's good.
Yeah,
and
that is
then,
correct.
All right, good. And then we have I have a quick movie recommendation that's out in theaters right now, and then we'll call it a show. All right, so Uriel is now in the PTR, and she's a warrior. But let's go now. Let's talk about our initial thoughts on the character. So let's go to CatPeach first.
So I think the big thing, obviously, is the whole concept of your abilities being slowed down, but having that option to have them casted instantly, which is a really interesting dynamic, because essentially everyone's kind of, I feel, taking it as like her, like such a massive, what do you call it? Not failure, but like a hindrance, right? Because warriors, everyone's so used to like, oh, you just kind of like initiate and dive in. And so I think that was one of the things that stood out most. But also the fact that we now have another character with a heroic that doesn't really stop if you don't really trigger it to stop. So like you have Slowing Sands with Chromie, which will keep going until Chromie dies or until she uncasts it. And then you have Sacred Ground, which will keep going until she's removed from that area, which I thought was really, really interesting. And I think that's definitely one of the things that I'm going to keep an eye on as I start to see people play her more, is how useful is that in the long run, or how much is that actually going to maybe push team fights in the right or wrong direction? So those were kind of like my first, the big things that stood out when they first showed her off.
All right, so Scott, what do you think about Uro?
I'm not really sure if they captured the feel of a Ret Paladin. If you played World of Warcraft, Ret Paladin's more of a lot more like Sonya, where she's just a beefy damage dealer, where it seems like they want to make her more kind of tanky, which you would be a protection paladin. So kind of like they're mixing and matching specs. It didn't really seem like it matched up as well, just for the general feel. But for the hero herself, I'm not convinced. They tried to say she was a tank. I don't know. I don't see her as having enough crowd control to be a tank.
That's the thing. So I think that she doesn't have enough wave clear to be a solo laner. So I think she has to be a main tank, right? And I don't think that she has the crowd. I mean, she has enough. She has a ton of self-sustain, but I don't know if she has the as of right now the tools to be a main tank in the game as it is right now. What do you think? What do you think, Tyler?
I kind of disagree. I think she can solo lane because she does have self-sustain. She's not going to be overpowering the lane like Zagara. She's going to be more of like a Ragnaros type one, more of like a soaking type solo laner if she is playing that role.
Ragnaros has wave clear. I don't think she has very good wave clear. I'd put her in the vein of maybe Thrall to Tyrael.
Yeah,
somewhere around those.
I was going to say Tyrael.
I agree. She's not the best solo laner, but she can in that position because she does have some self-sustain. Her wave clear does suck. She's not going to push in the lane. I think she's actually really going to be good at lower levels because of the slow cooldowns on all the abilities and sustain in the armor from Sacred Ground. I think a lot of people, she's going to try to kill her, and then she's going to actually eat up a lot of damage from people trying to kill her because she's constantly jumping around, hitting people with the hammer, self-sustaining off the Q. I think she's going to be really strong low levels, and then with the trait sort of allowing you to cancel or to instantly charge up one of those abilities is going to be very strong, I think. And like CatPeach was saying with the ultimate, I think the other one sucks. The one that gives you it's like an enhanced protect, which you mean
the one
like a Medivh,
like the one that it draws a circle beneath you, and if you stay in it, you get.
No, that's the good one.
Okay,
that's the armor bonus
the
one.
Ardent Defender. It's basically a divine shield that heals you when you take damage.
Yeah, I don't think that one's as good. I think the other one's way cooler because that other one is like a longer cooldown. It's like 40 seconds for the armor aura one, not aura, but like the armor spot on the ground. I think that's super strong. Yeah, the AOE. I think that's gonna be really really impactful. And then she has a lot of abilities that characters don't even have, like the insta mount. I forget what level that is.
Yeah. Yes.
That looks way
7?
cool.
Hello? What?
That is crazy.
Now and then 80% movement speed after that? For a couple seconds? Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? That might be one of the best talents in this game when she's released.
Yeah, I was going to say that. No, I was going to mention that too. It's like she's going to be very mobile as far as rotating between lanes. She's going to be very hard to kill. If she leaps out, she's got that instant mount to go. You're not going to catch her unless you're somebody's standing right next to where she's leaping. I think she'll be very mobile and very slippery with that talent.
So Scott, do you think that's a really good talent to take? Do you think high level players will go with that talent?
Yeah, your high level players are all about rotations, and with that talent, she's got the fastest rotation in the game.
Okay, so Kat, what do you in general? Do you think how viable do you think she'll be in the meta that we're in right now?
That is a really good question. I think she definitely, and this was kind of mentioned earlier, there's a place, I think, for in the current meta in sort of those lower tiers, especially with similarly, like the knockback, right, of being able to zone, like that's going to be useful no matter, I think, what tier you're kind of on, just being able to make distance between yourself and the rest of the team. So I think that's something that a lot of players are going to end up latching onto to try to like give space. It's really good on, most maps, where everyone's crowding around. So that makes a lot of sense. And then honestly, it's interesting, right? Because she's not with the movement speed slowing when you're charging up your ability. You're like, okay, she's not dive, but then you have that one ability where she does leap in, like in the middle of a team, and you're like, well, she kind of is dive. So much in that like tier-y kind of way where you're not fully dive, but you can if you want to, and then like hopefully you have something to follow up with that will be really interesting. When I think about the matchup she's likely going to be in, like, will she survive a garage flip? Maybe, probably. ETC bump and slide, like that's not going to be too much of an issue for her, I don't think. So I think she will have a place, but I don't think people are going to be like clamoring for her. And I don't think she's going to be like first pick, first ban worthy necessarily. But yeah, in terms of just pure rotational ability, you can't ignore that. Like that almost makes a new like notch in the meta for itself, right? It's like, who's the fastest rotator now? Like, rather than who deals the most damage. So, like, are you going to pair that up with Lucio and like a speed boost and just have the ultimate rotation team, right? So, I think there's a couple avenues I think it could potentially go. But we're gonna have to see how it all plays out in the long run. It's hard to, there's good things on paper and then there's good things in practice. And she's one that I'm having a hard time seeing how on paper translates to practice. In the most effective way. So
I feel like her kit is designed to dominate bronze and silver players. But I think that like those players aren't capable to pull that off. So
no, she's got escapes. She's got the escapes.
Yeah, but to get really good value from her.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're playing her, if you're like in Silver 3 and you want to get out of Silver 3, this is a character on paper that could help you get out of Silver 3 pretty quickly, I believe. But the problem is that I think the player effectively requires a high skill cap because you have to manage all of your cooldowns and use your trait to take them off cooldown or whatever, right? So I feel as though that like
so far.
But I think So what do you think, Tarben? Since you play at the goldish level of Hero League, what do you think about Yrel in Hero League?
I think actually kind of easy to play. Hard to master, easy to play right off the bat. She's got sustain. She got an escape with the jump or initiate, the insta mount. I was looking at her other talents too, just testing them out. The 16 one Divine Fervor, the one that lowers the cooldown of your trait. That and the one that stacks up with the one level 13, the one that gives you ability, ramps up your ability power, spell power every time you hit someone with a charged ability. That looks super strong together. So I can see her sort of like disrupting a lot in the back line. Everyone's trying to kill her and she just busts out and just leaves, maybe comes back. I see her have with her ult out, the 40 armor, just totally disrupting. I think she does have enough CC. The hammer I think is pretty strong with the what's it, almost 1 second stun, like 0.75 stun, something like that, and the slows. I think she's going to be. I think a lot of lower players are going to try to burst her down and CC her down, but she's going to have a lot of sustain and armor to kind of get around that.
Okay. So, Scott, you play at the master level, so obviously the meta is different than it is at the lower levels. What do you think about Yrel in her league at your level?
I'm not sure there's a place for her. I mean, I played one game against her. I played an AI game with her, so my experience with her isn't that much. But she doesn't seem like she has the kit you would want to be a main tank, and she doesn't really have the damage to be like a bruiser. So I'm just not really sure how she's gonna fit into the meta. The one thing she looks like she would be decent at is somebody to kind of protect the back line. You got the knockback to knock anybody who dives in, and you also have some supporting talents to help your back line stay alive. So that could be useful. But if you're doing that, you're probably gonna want to stick her in the solo lane, and I don't think she can handle that unless the opposing team has a weak solo laner.
I feel like she's going to be very comp dependent. Like in terms, by that I mean wherever the other tank is in the comp. Like if there's maybe like a Blaze that can solo lane, but it also has enough crowd control to be a main tank in bursts. I think that you really can't pair her with Sonya, right? I think to me that's a bad recipe for success, or whatever that. I don't know what the saying is, but anyway, it doesn't feel like that would be. She wouldn't really fit very well with a bruiser type of tank on the team at the same time. So I think that, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. Like when I saw the video, I got really excited, but then the more I saw her played and the more I tried her out, the more I was just like, oh, I think she's just going to be like in 3 months, she may be pretty much out of the meta or no longer played anymore. Because her kit isn't really designed to be a main tank. This is my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I just think she's highly mobile. This can be hard for low-level players to kind of lock her down. Mm-hmm. She is susceptible to a lot of CC. Her abilities do have to charge to get max value.
So the thing is that like a lot of people recommend, and if you're in lower levels in gold or below, they recommend being a character that can do everything by themselves. You know, like Sonya or like maybe like Leoric, right? That you just clear lanes by yourself. You can go whatever it is you need to do around the map and just help win that way. I don't know if she can do that. That's the one thing I have against her.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. But I think she may have more value on like bigger maps like Altric Pass, Transition. So all right, so we have a new map in the PTR, and that's Altric Pass, and it's the first ever officially coined Warcraft themed map. So CatPeach, what are your thoughts on the map overall? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I played a couple of games, and it's a really fun map overall, I will say, like, out the gate. I was nervous about another really big map. I just am not very partial to them, and the last one we got was Warhead Junction, so I was like, okay, like, how's this gonna go? But the prisoner aspect is a really neat combination, I think, of a lot of the other objectives in the rest of the game. It's like this weird combination of the shrines on Sky Temple where you have to constantly battle like these minions that are spawning, but you also channel it like the tribute, but you also have to protect it like Brax's Holdout, and so there's like a lot of familiar things there to mix and match with, which I think it makes it a little bit overwhelming at first because you're like, what do I do with these prisoners? But once you understand it, that after that first go around, you're like, okay, I get this now. This is good. So that was really neat. The map itself is gorgeous. The mud pits I was very interested about after they did the announcement. And after playing, they were sort of a non-issue. Like, you don't really notice them, I think, as much as I was initially led to believe they would be. Because if you're mounted up, you slow down a little bit, but that's about it. So as long as you're not intentionally hanging out in there, I don't think they're going to be, like, affecting too much. But I'm interested to see the long term of how the new core concept goes, and I'm still not sure how I feel about that specifically.
Random aside, has anyone when I see commercials for spas, they show people like in mud pits, like getting covered in mud. Has anyone ever done that?
Not in a pit, but yes, I have.
How was that?
It's interesting. It's an experience, and then you're like, wow, I'm covered in mud. This is a thing that's happening, but your skin feels great after. So I don't know. You have the chance, go do it.
Are you like in a bathtub or something like that, and you're covered in mud, or?
No. Well, I wasn't when I did it. So you actually are on like a table, and they just kind of like, it's almost like a mask that they just kind of put all over your body, but it's mud.
Okay.
Of some kind. It's not like mud that you get from the woods.
It's a special mud. You can't just go and dig a hole in the dirt and throw it water in.
Yeah, take your hose out, make a mud pile, roll around in there. But no, they just like coat you in that, and then it dries up, and then they're like, okay, go shower, and then you shower it off, and then your skin feels nice. So
okay.
Not as barbaric as these mud pits. Maybe a new business plan, the real experience of being in a mud pit.
Okay, interesting.
But were you slowed down when you were covered in mud? Is the real question.
Gradually got slower as I walked across the room.
Okay, interesting. All right, and you recommend it, right? Trying it out.
I mean, it was part of a whole thing that I did for like a half day at a spa, so that was rad. Spas are good in general, so I would always recommend going.
Was it like a bridal shower thing?
Nah. I was really overworked at work, and I said, I'm going to take a day off and do this. And my work was like, oh, go do it.
Nice. That's really cool.
Treat yourself, you know?
All right.
Yeah.
Huh.
You guys ever hear of those Korean spas where they just scrape like all your dead skin off and like they get everywhere? Mm-hmm. Like no place is left untouched.
I haven't been to one of those.
I've heard that from some females who informed me of that.
Wow.
Now I know where Taraban goes after the podcast every Wednesday night.
Happy ending included.
All right, so all right, let's get back on track with the map. So Taraban, before I had the side, what did you want to talk about with the map?
Yeah, I like to say that objective is broke.
Yeah, I feel like the numbers are overtuned for the when you're channeling the prisoners or whatever that's called.
I'm talking about after you get the objective. So I didn't play any games, but I saw a few of the YouTube games of other people playing. Those cavalry dudes, they got tons of HP.
Oh yeah,
like those first walls are all going down. It's not like Tomb of the Spider Queen where they kind of slowly come up and you can have a chance to maybe stall them. They just kind of run up because they have the movement speed and the attack damage, and they tank a ton. So I think it snowballs pretty quick because that map objective is overtuned.
And I think that I was playing some games with Goon and Bags from the Nexus Trolls last night, and the core is pretty easily. Once you just get one keep down, it's pretty easy to kill the core, the big giant. And it's quite. I was like, oh wow, they just fought it for like 4 seconds and it was gone. I was like, oh, all right.
Or the general.
Oh no, like the core. Is it the general?
Yeah, it's the general.
Yeah, so we were like kind of shocked of how undertuned that was too.
I have one of the games I played on PTR, I had one of the saddest experiences at the core where we got the prisoners, we had the cavalry pushing, everything was going great. 4 of us were in one lane, keep was down, and we were pushing on core. And then one member decided to push in a different lane, and we couldn't actually finish core. We got it to like the tiniest slither of health before we all wiped. And because it regenerates, we were just like, what even? Like, what the heck? Like, had that 5th person there, it was fine, which is like, I'm curious of like your experience. Like, were you all together? Because it seems like you can't push core with like 3 people necessarily, like you can in some other situations. But if you have a full team, it's absolutely a non-issue.
Oh yeah, no, we got team wiped. So yeah, it was definitely there was 4 or 5 of them there at the core, and we totally got Yeah, Goon was feeding as usual on URL. So, but
nice.
But Scott, what do you think about the map overall? Like, what do you think about the mechanic where you have to do like 3 things at once during the objective?
It's interesting. I still don't really grasp what's going on and what I should be doing entirely. But the map as a whole, I love. I mean, I don't know if CatPeach played World of Warcraft. I know you two didn't, but
I played World of Warcraft for all of 4 weeks, and for each of those weeks I was unemployed, so definitely not an expert.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. Well, that was like one of the Alteric Valley was one of the first it was one of the first battlegrounds to come out, and they had like this honor system where basically you farmed kills of the enemy faction to get honor. So you just had these like massive games on that battleground. It was like 40 versus 40, and people would just go kill each other all day with not even trying to complete the objective to win the map. So these games literally went on for days, and it felt really epic. So I'm just happy to see this map, and it looks fun. I'm eager to play it. Like Hanamura was the last map they came out with, right?
Volskaya came out.
Oh yeah, Volskaya came out. This is the best map I think they've come out with since Towers of Doom.
Yeah, I think if they tune the numbers properly, I would definitely agree with that. I think there's some fine tuning that needs to be done, but
yeah, that's why they got the PTR up to figure out what needs to be done. But as far as from a concept perspective, I think it's going to be a very good map.
I feel like though it's going to take the community as a whole, in terms of playing for Hero League purposes, that it's going to take at least a month for everyone, for the games to be no longer shit shows for Hero League, especially at the lower levels.
I don't know. Is it even going to be in Hero League? Hero League's map pool right now, I think, is the HGC and has been like all year long, I believe.
I think they mentioned it'll be ranked eligible toward the end of July, if I remember correctly.
Well, I mean, isn't like Garden of Terror and...
It's HGC map pool for Hero League.
Is it really? You sure it doesn't change? I could have swore it changes every few weeks.
They were doing that in previous seasons, but this season's been awesome. There's no garbage maps. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
It's Braxis.
One of the perks of playing Hero League or Team League.
Okay, all right. Well, so actually, that goes back to the main part. So, do you guys think that? I think that it's not HGC eligible maybe until season 1 of 2019, right? No, I don't know. But anyway, do you guys think that this is a map that's going to be in HGC potentially?
When I think about that, I have to think about what map it'll replace, and that gets hard. Because the last time around we had Volskyro replace Warhead Junction, and so I think they would want to keep that similar number of maps. And so I keep thinking do you replace it with something like Dragonshire that doesn't necessarily get played all that often, or replace it with, or replace Braxis Holdout or something like that, which Braxis Holdout isn't a fun map for me to spectate when I watch HGC. And so I would be in favor of, as much as I love playing on Braxis Holdout because it's really easy to snowball there, something a bit more interesting. But I think it depends on how they end up tuning that map overall, because like you were saying, or someone was saying, the cavalry units are just a bit overtuned right now and just really speed down those lanes and just accelerate the game so quickly. And so I think I'll have more of a feeling toward that once they make those kinds of tweaks. So I'm a very hard, fast maybe.
If they tune the numbers decently, it'll definitely replace Braxis.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's the pro's least favorite map due to how snowbally it is.
Do you guys think that heroes that have globals will be prioritized much more, or maybe even the Lost Vikings will have much more value on this map than any other map?
No. The lanes are pretty close together.
Okay.
Yeah. One other thing too is that I think in this map is the only one without catapults, right? That you have a strong melee unit that gets spawned instead of a catapult, so that's a little bit different too. So it's actually taking damage if the keep goes down. So I'm wondering if that sort of plays to characters like Asmodan or something, kind of buff the waves and the 3-lane map and stuff.
I haven't really thought about that. That's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've been thinking about is that in comparison to League of Legends, League of Legends has only had one map for its entire lifespan, I believe. And obviously you can totally tell that the higher ups at within Blizzard say we should have more maps. And do you guys think that going down this route, because obviously in the last 12 to 15 months, they've had some good maps that they've released, and they've released some pretty shitty maps. And do you guys think this is a good idea that they're trying to? It seems like they want to have much more maps moving forward. And do you guys think that's a good thing that they're trying to do this?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing because it makes each game kind of fresh, and then it increases the complexity and the hero pools based on the map, which I don't think is going to be as viable for League of Legends. Granted, I'm not a player, but I like how different characters are prioritized on different maps. It makes it more complicated and strategically a lot more interesting for me.
Yeah, go for it.
Counterpoint. it makes it that much harder for new people to get into the game. And as someone who really wants this player base to grow, every time there's a new hero added or a new map added, that just adds so many additional layers of things that people need to learn in a game that I think comparatively is already pretty overwhelming because of that. Like I've had a few people join on, in the past 9 months who, even before Volskaya was released, they're just like, I don't know what I should be doing on each map. It's hard to figure out what those objectives are, where I should be, what heroes are actually good on what maps. And there's not a lot of material to really help that type of player get introduced. And so I always get worried when we keep adding maps and not necessarily removing others. I do agree that keeping a rotation of maps keeps things a bit more fun and fresh, and you're not going to have the same 4 maps, and therefore you're not going to be, consolidated into the same 4 drafts. There's a lot of similarity between drafts, but there's still something a bit different that happens per map. So selfishly, heck yeah. For the longevity of the game, kind of nervous.
I think you have the answer right there. It's just, instead of, it doesn't have to be that complicated if you ban out some of the maps and have a rotation of maps. Then you have, say, 6 months or whatever to kind of get used to those maps. And then there's a different rotation, and then it's going to be fresh again. So I think that's just...
You got to rotate out some of the maps. Like, some of the bad maps you get rid of, probably
map bans, yeah.
No.
That's one thing I kind of...
You could get rid of Haunted Mines and probably
Garden of Terror.
Blackheart's Bay, Garden of Terror.
Yeah.
I would love that. I wish they would say to themselves, hey, Haunted Mines, we gave it a shot. We redid it a year ago, and it's still shitty. No one likes it. Let's just, cut our losses and just remove it. Or do something completely different with it.
You bring them back as a brawl.
Yeah.
Every so often.
I think that's one thing I wish they said they would do. Even I think some people actually do like Blackheart's Bay. I actually don't like it at all, but I just wish
it used to be one of my favorites, but it gets old after a while.
Well, that's because that's an Illidan map. That's why you used to pone noobs as Illidan.
That's why it was your favorite map.
But I don't know. I wish they were. I don't know. I just wish they would maybe when they have a good map like this, then I'm totally down for them having more maps, but I don't want to have another Hanamura, Haunted Mines situation where it's a bad map and ruins games. Because we've all been in games unranked or a quick match or Hero League. We're ready to go. We had a 3-minute queue, and oh shit, it's Haunted Mines. Fuck,
Yeah, it does suck. I hate that.
Kind of kills the experience.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
and it's fine them coming out with new content, but you gotta kind of sift through the current content and figure out what's worth keeping, because you can't have a map pool of 20, 25 maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do agree. If you're a new player, there's 82 heroes, right?
We're at 80 now, I think.
Yeah.
And now there's 12 maps, right? That you have to worry about. If I was a new player, I don't know. I guess millennials don't care about stuff like that, but I'd be like, oh, this is too much, I would be overwhelmed.
I actually don't think it's the map itself. I think it's all the tweaks to the map. Peach brought up Volskaya. Volskaya is actually a pretty simple map. Mm-hmm. Except they changed the stuff with the protector. Mm-hmm. Before, the strategy was you swap back and forth between both positions of the protector. Now they changed that. You have to keep on updating the strategy for the for the map and all these tweaks. Mm-hmm. Volskaya is super simple. It's just mid, top, bottom, and it goes in that order every time. And there's these certain mercs like the other maps.
Yeah, but it's just how to best use the protector. That's not as easy, especially there is no try mode right now for you to just hop in and figure it out on the in that mode. You hop in game and you're like, oh shit, what do I do? You're reading abilities, and meanwhile your team's like, what's this guy doing? This guy's terrible. Why is he?
He's a
protector?
Fucking noob.
Yeah.
Why is he beating up minions only? He's not pushing.
A try mode for all these maps where you can test out these things. They need an info tab.
Yeah. I'm reporting this guy. He's not doing his job. Reported.
Our Garden Terror went and got a camp. I don't know how, but they did.
He's using the queue.
Most of them are sieging. Once you get an objective that the thing sieges outside, even One thing I think is separate is the Infernal Shrines Punisher. It will prioritize heroes. So most of the vehicles and stuff you get into, it's more like about sieging. So you can kind of default on that, like the Dragon and Dragonshire.
Yeah, but stuff like Infernal Shrines, how often does the Immortal jump?
True, that is true. You do have to know that.
You can't
That's
even.
actually pretty good.
I can't even tell you, and I've played twice. I'm talking about the time in between jumps. I think it's about 15 seconds, but
yeah,
you can't find that information anywhere. I'd have to go and rewatch or replay and look at the seconds.
Or
Blizzard tells you about these maps is.
Or you reach out a friend of the show, Hero Physio, the coach of LFM Esports, and he'll tell you.
Name drop.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard that in one of his reviews saying it was 15 seconds.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'd say, I don't know.
All right, but either way, I think on behalf of the podcast, thank you, Blizzard. This is actually really cool. And Reddit, there's been like some shit going on Reddit, and I wanted to say that
never shit on Reddit.
Reddit's a shit show to begin with. It's just a different form of shit they're flinging around.
Yeah. But on behalf of the show, we all really appreciate all the hard work and that you did with the map and the characters that you've released this year, and we all really love the content you've created. No, seriously, like with all the shit, I feel as though if you're a Blizzard developer for HOTS, you just get shit thrown at you at all times. like remember when healers got support or healers got nerfed? They all got nerfed, and everyone freaked out, and now everyone loves healers now. So it's just everything that they do, they get shit on.
Most of the people that post are the people who like to whine and complain.
Yeah.
If stuff's going good, you don't like post and say, "Hey, good job, Blizzard." You're just like, "Oh, all right, awesome. I'm just gonna queue up for my game." People get upset. Oh man, I gotta let everybody know that I'm not feeling this change, and it's like, suck it up.
Yeah.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Oh, God.
I do want to go back to one thing before this.
Go for it.
So, July 10th, the week of July 10th, Alteric Pass will enter the ranked battleground rotation.
Ooh.
So, it will be added.
Holy shit. So, I'm not playing Hero League for a while then.
That's way better than what they used to do last couple maps. It was just like thrown in immediately.
Good luck, have fun.
Yeah. It's nice that they're given some time before it's implemented into Hero League.
There's a full month before when it gets first introduced until it gets into ranked. So that's a good change there.
Yeah, I think that's the beginning of season. Is it season? What do you call that? Season 3 of 2018? Is that the official wording?
Probably.
Yeah. So.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, so let's get on to the changes that are now live. So they changed the XP you get from fort towers and forts and keeps. So now the experience you get from towers got reduced by half, but the experience from forts and keeps went up. So this is actually pretty cool because it allows, it kind of curbs early snowballing. So if you're on Tomb of the Spire Queen and you get the first objective, it doesn't mean you're going to snowball the game. So it actually helps prevent snowballing in the early game, which is actually pretty cool. All right, so Cassia, her health got increased by 11%.
Wow, you're just gonna skip over how huge of a change that was?
It's huge.
Yep.
You don't want to. That's a huge change.
I thought
Some people have been like not paying much mind to it. It's like, oh, they removed the armor and added some health. What's the big deal? But the 11% is huge in this game, especially when she has as much damage as she already has. Like, she's a bit of a sleeper character, I think, right now, but she's gonna hit the prime time again, and I can't wait.
I was going on the experience changes.
I'm still on the experience thing.
Yeah.
Huge.
I thought I kind of explained what the net thing was.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, you get less experience from structures. That's going to put a greater emphasis on soaking lanes and hero kills.
I mean, again, those early towers, right? What is it for one wave? Like 450, 500, something like that?
You're half the experience for a tower that you used to.
It's going to be like a lot more difficult to get that lead in the beginning by taking down the towers. You really have to get the fort and keep to get the experience now. It's going to change the way like you said, on like different maps where first what is it? I think Infernal Shrines. What is it? They say you should only get the first wall, right?
Yeah, that first wall's not going to mean as much.
As much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see it in our games, but as far as HGC, a lot of objectives in HGC, you're hearing the casters, they're going to try and get down as many walls as they can.
Yeah.
You know, this might completely change how the early games played on the pro level.
Yeah.
I mean, it just puts more importance into prepping lanes, right? And making sure the walls are down before you grab the objective, I think, which at HGC, they're pretty good at, not so much as you go down the rank scale, but perhaps it's one of those things that it'll teach people the importance of preparing lanes so that you can get as much value out of certain objectives as possible, like the Punisher and things like that. So I'm personally looking forward to it because there's nothing worse than like when your team accidentally lets a Murky push in too far and then you feel bad for the rest of the game. And so I think there's a lot of lower level players who will find comfort in not having to deal with that in such a degree. It's interesting. I don't think I'm going to be able to run my Probius as much anymore with those changes, but you know,
I think the rest of the team is going to be happy about that.
Rip Probius.
Do you guys actually know that Towers of Doom forts upgraded to keeps when that tunnel opened? I didn't know that. That's new.
Nope. I had no idea.
Yeah,
that information is listed nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, huh?
Yeah, so like at level, 14 or 15, when the midway tunnel in the middle of the map opens.
It's at like 12 minutes or so.
Yeah, so. Yeah, well, shit, I learned that too. So.
The more you know.
Yeah. All right, so Cassia, I think Cassia's going to be like, her health got increased a lot, so now, because she's a very melee type of an assassin, almost, and this extra health buff actually, I think it's pretty significant. So, I think that she can be more viable now, for sure, and if even if your positioning is not as good, you can get away with it, because you have the extra health, so. Yeah.
She's not as niche anymore, because they buffed her health and they nerfed her trait, her avoidance.
Yeah, I think she's been buffed 3 or 4 times in the last 7 months, 8 months, right? It feels like. So I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't think she's going to be like the top tier, but I think she's definitely no longer like, oh, okay, the friendly team went Lily and Johanna, I'll go Cassia because why not? So I think it's going to be kind of cool. All right, so Phoenix, his hitbox is got reduced. Now he's the size of Stitches in Ragnaros. Okay. Genji, I don't know what to say about they reduced they increased the cooldown of cyber agility. So he got nerfed again.
Yeah, Blizzard's continuing to crack down on the
mobility,
hyper mobile characters.
Yeah, they saw what happened to Overwatch and oh shit, we got to stop this mobility shit.
People have been complaining about it for months.
Yeah. All right, so that's another nerf to Genji there. Kael'thas, his unit radius got reduced to the size of ETC and Zagara, which is good. Living Bomb damage got increased. Okay, slight buff, I guess, there. So Maiev, Scott, what do you think about Maiev with these changes? Is this a nerf or a buff?
No, she got nerfed straight up. But, I mean, I don't get it. Maybe she's still really good in HGC. I don't know, because she's not really picked that much anymore. She doesn't feel that strong. She's not overpowering.
Strong in Bush League, though.
So, CatPeach, do you see Maiev played a lot in the games that you cast?
The games I cast, she still has very often been first ban worthy, and I think that's going to drop. So you still don't see her played just because she gets thrown out immediately. Although in the past couple weeks, it has been less banning and not showing up, and so that's been interesting. And yeah, so I'll agree. She's not going to show up anymore. I think that first ban slot's going to be replaced by, who knows, possibly Lunara's been subbing in a lot for that slot now, given her recent changes. So yeah, Maya is just hard to coordinate in pug teams, to be honest, from my experience. So I'm not surprised she generally doesn't show up. And so with these changes, I don't think she'll even show up in more team-based settings.
Because I thought she got nerfed like 2 weeks, like in the previous patch, right? And I thought, okay, fine, she's got nerfed. Now she'll be played a lot. But I guess they wanted to nerf her again. Kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know. All she really has is her kind of zone control. Yeah, she's got the Warden's Cage and he's got her W, but she doesn't deal that much damage because she's been nerfed a ton. Her survivability's been nerfed. Her wave clear is bad, so she's got to be in the 4-man. She doesn't offer that much outside of that combo, and she's just kind of been nerfed further and further, so that's literally all she has left.
Okay, so speaking of Lunara, so Nature's Calling, her trait got reduced. The bonus damage got reduced. So I think I feel like this is a appropriate nerf because she was kind of being like the new hotness in among assassins anyway in the last week or two.
Yeah, yeah.
So
she I think picked a lot for BOE over like Vala and other characters too, because that Nature's Calling. And I think she's pretty strong. As far as these changes, I think they're appropriate. The biggest thing is the Nature's Calling got reduced. There, I think it might even get reduced
again,
possibly even more. Yeah,
it might. That's the go-to talent at level 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it does a ton of gives you a ton of wave clear and a lot of structure damage too.
Yeah.
Okay. Even sort of like camp the smaller camps with it too, the merc camps with it, like the siege ones.
Okay, so for Varian, they increased his damage. Increased his health. Sorry, and now now they actually buffed his tanking class, I guess, because he needed that. Because now he can actually go taunt and actually be a little bit more effective as when he goes taunt now. So I think this was a much needed change for Varian. So, but this is definitely a buff. So I think if you're in lower levels of games, I think it's actually more viable now. But I think
it's not really a buff, right? They removed the armor on the taunt, right?
It's a buff to the other specs, the Wind Blades and a Colossus Bash.
Oh, really?
Because you get a straight health buff. What Blizzard has done with all the tanks in Cassia is they've basically taken away a lot of their passive armor and increased their health.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually thought this improved the taunt variant.
It removed his passive armor. I think he got 15 armor when he chose taunt. So now there's a base health buff which helps all his specs.
Okay.
And they removed his passive armor, and his health bonus for going taunt build got buffed slightly.
I think that if we're on passive armor, I think that's all BS because they never really showed who had passive armor unless you clicked on them. There wasn't really an indicator, which I was kind of mess with me. Like when they make changes to it, like it's passive armor's got decreased because Varian's was like 20 or 25 before, right? And
I think it was 15.
Yeah, it got continually like decreased, and it's hard to keep track. Because it's not really showed in game, like what his passive armor is.
Yeah, Blizzard did a bad job with that. With the because when you have temporary armor, it shows you the armor bonus. But like, shouldn't Varian have like a 15 armor all the time, showing that he has that when he's running around? I understand it's a little bit harder to show the physical armor or spell armor because it doesn't apply to the entire armor state. It's only half of the categories, but I don't know.
Okay. All right. So Zagara, they basically made her early game weaker, but made her late game stronger. And according to I think I've seen some tweets from pro players that this is actually a pretty big buff for Zagara. But I don't play Zagara, so I don't really know how big of a buff. It's definitely a buff, I think, but I really don't know how big of a buff, if at all. It is
a very significant buff. Her scaling got increased, and she got nerfed for the early game, which is fine. But I think a lot of these breakpoints are around like level 10 or so, and after that, because before this patch went live, she was all about solo pushing and, really getting that siege damage in the early game, and now you're more useful late game, which she was bad at, so it makes her way more viable.
I feel like Zagara's only ever played in like gold games or lower in her.
Yeah, it's if you really want to emphasize winning that solo lane, because she's one of the best solo laners with the poke and with their W. That's why a lot of, I think, players pick her to kind of dominate that solo lane. So
and stay in that solo lane the entire game.
Or kind of jump around with Nidus,
All right. And her early game didn't get nerfed that much for what she got.
Scott, do you think you're going to see Zagara in a diamond level in the early game?
You see her every once in a while.
But do you think you'll see her more? You see her
she'll be picked more.
Okay.
Most of the solo laners are warriors, so she does really well against them.
Yeah, if she can kite. If she gets hit by like a lot of melee damage or something stupid, then of course she could get destroyed, because she doesn't have the best sustain. If you could poke and kite really well, she's super strong.
Okay. All right. So we'll talk about Oriole in a second, but I want to talk about Brightwing because, like I said, I don't know if it was off camera or on camera, but I said that after these changes, I think that...
Wait, what camera?
On air, off air. After these changes, I think Brightwing now, overall, I think with the current state of supports now, I think there's no really overly powered support anymore. But I think now Brightwing provides more than enough utility with her global, and now her healing got buffed a little bit. I think she could be maybe the best support now in the game. But what do you think, CatPeach, of the changes to Brightwing?
I'm not going to go so far as to say she's going to be the best support in the game going forward when these land. I think it makes her a bit more viable. My biggest issue, I've always been a little bit down on Brightwing, if I'm being entirely honest. I know, controversial. But I think the increase to her healing was very much needed. I don't know if the health increase or the heal increase on Blink Heal is enough to warrant picking that over Emerald Wind in a lot of cases, but we'll have to see. But nothing really is changing with the rest of her base kit, which I don't think is super weak, but it's also not super strong. Polymorph is nice, but the rest of her abilities, I kind of am shrug. And so I don't think we'll see her too much more, but she might be a bit more of a common second wave pick if, your Malf is taken or your Sukhov is banned or something like that, or, things like that. That's my thought.
Okay. So Scott, you're kind of like a Brightwing main at one point, right?
Yeah.
Say it like it is, Scott. Say it like it is.
She helped carry me to Masters a couple of seasons ago, so this change isn't that big.
Yeah, the blink heal is garbage.
she got a 3% heal increase on her passive, which is basically it's reliable healing, but it's doesn't help you heal anybody up who's taking a ton of damage. So her weaknesses are still going to be the exact same. Mm-hmm. Blink heal, the increase on heal, you'd probably have to increase it another 40% from where it's at to make it fit. Because the Emerald Wind, the disengage, helping set up kills, that's really priceless.
Yeah.
The Blink heal's radius or the range of it got nerfed a while ago too. So ever since then, that really killed it.
Yeah, I think if you want her AOE healing, just pick Lucio. Honestly, I'd rather see a Lucio than Brightwing on my team.
A lot more.
Yeah.
Okay. So. But all right, so Oriole, so her health got decreased, but so the thing is that if the damage on the outer part of her Q got reduced, but the damage on the inner part got increased. So if you're actually hitting people in the middle and blinding people, you can actually get more value from Oriole. I think this is I think a lot of lower level players are going to see this change and think that, I'm going to be really good at Oriole now. But I think this is a trap if you're a If you're a lower level player, don't pick Oriole. Because I've seen a lot of Oriole.
It's such a trap.
It is a trap.
She got nerfed with these changes.
What? What happened?
She got nerfed.
Yeah,
The outer area of your Q damage got reduced by a ton. Your inner area got buffed slightly.
Yeah, I know, but like there's
a lot of the time you use it to gain energy on like a minion wave.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting way less energy off of that now.
But the thing is that like Bacon on the last show talked about if you go that Q build where like you hit people in the middle, it refreshes the cooldown, right? That talent at level 7 or whatever talent it was.
Well, since then Bacon has changed his ways and realized that the knockback talent is superior.
Oh.
I remember you guys were arguing about that. It was,
repeated offense.
Yeah, repeated offense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was saying that, and I was just like, dude, repeated offense is the way to go. And I talked to him when I was playing with him a couple days ago, and he's like, yeah, repeated offense is really good. I'm like, dude, I told you.
All right.
There's no comparison in those talents.
All right, so Oriole got 2 weeks in the meta, and now she's no longer in the meta again.
Well, she got buffed up pretty significantly, so they had to tone her back a little bit.
Okay, I think if you're in platinum or below, do not pick Oriole. Like she's a high skill cap character, so. Okay, so Stugoff, yes, Tyburn.
I was like, for sure.
All right, so Stugoff, he got buffed a little bit. That's pretty good. All right, so Nubrak.
Enough about that.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Well, he got nerfed a few times.
Well, they nerfed his lurking arm. Now they give him a little bit more healing.
No, but his bio kill switch got nerfed a while ago. His healing pathogen's been nerfed a few times, I believe, in the past couple months as well.
Oh, okay.
So with his lurking arm being nerfed, his win percentage is pretty low. I think he's, at least at the higher levels, he has the lowest win percentage, I believe. So they had to give him a little bit something to make him competitive.
All right, so Nubrak, which is kind of what happened to Nubrak is kind of interesting because he no longer has spell armor baked into his kit, but now if you use your W, it gives you 40 spell armor. So it actually increased the skill cap of the character now, because now you can't just dive in and get spell armor no matter what. Now you have to be cognizant when you use your W to get the spell armor, and but they did also increase his health a little bit, but I feel like at the lower levels this is a nerf, a pretty big nerf. But Kat, what do you think about a Nubrak here?
I think for lower levels, it's not a buff or a nerf. I think it's a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, remove armor, get health. It's like, it's in the wash, right? And no one's going to pay attention to it. I would say I do agree that it does make it a little bit tricky to play him, which is a little bit unfortunate given that he doesn't come up all that often anymore. I think generally, but I don't think it's one of those end of the world things where now he's totally unviable. It's just there's one additional thing you have to pay attention to. And I think, if you're burrowing like that, you're usually trying to throw out Heart and Carapace afterwards anyway. So I think for some people, it's not going to be something additional to learn. It's just something they already do. And they just have to understand that that's how they get the spell armor now. But my gut doesn't say it's going to change too much about how often he gets played or how you play him overall.
You need to watch Bush League because he's played in every game in Bush League.
I don't think you've played in any of the games I casted, so I don't know. Oh wait, no, that's a lie. I have the notebook right here. They totally got picked. My bad. I take back my comments.
That's okay, but I don't know, Tyburn, what do you think about Nubrak here?
Well, I actually had to look up his base armor because I didn't have it offhand. It was only 20 spell armor, and so getting 40 by hitting your W can be seen as a buff if you're able to use it correctly in conjunction with the health increase. So I don't think this is much of a nerf as you guys are thinking. If you can still play him right, I mean, a Nubrak, he's still not I think, solo tank. It's more of like that flanking tank or like a burst down tank. Mostly you pick him for the cocoon.
So Tyburn, Zexrus plays a Nubrak literally every game, right?
Not every game. He's been murdered a few times.
80% of his games, he plays a Nubarak.
Yeah.
You're playing him on Monday for a ticket to the finals. Are you worried about this change? How does this change your opinion on Nubarak at all?
Juicy.
You know what? I mean, I think it's actually harder to burst him down if he can hit his W at the right time, because then he has more armor than he had before, and he has more health. Because the way he plays, he has played in the past, he goes kind of, all out on the dives. So it's gonna be a little bit harder once he pops his W to take him down. Spell damage.
All right. So I think
it's actually a better change for his playstyle specifically. Okay.
I disagree. I think he gets blown up. Just go Kael'thas and go Kael'thas and Greymane and blow him up, and he's dead. That's what I think. You can't get away with it anymore. But maybe that's just me. I'm just Team Dignitas here, giving out information. All right. All right. So Arthas no longer has base physical armor anymore, and they buffed up his health by quite a bit. Actually, 5%. Not really that much, but
not that big.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think this is okay. I guess. I mean, to be honest, I actually forgot that Arthas had physical armor anyway.
Yeah, it's like I mentioned no more base armor. I'm like, what are the numbers again? I don't remember.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
He was the ultimate damage or auto attack counter, specifically melee auto attack counter, where now he's a little bit easier to kill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
still has that frost aura though.
Yeah. All right. So Diablo, he's been bad. They made him a little bit better. Is it enough for him to be back, or do he even become close to the meta anymore?
He's been in the meta. He's been creeping up. People have figured out how to play him, and he's actually, I'd say, fairly strong. Like
really?
he doesn't deal the damage he did before, but he's just super tanky. He's really hard to kill. He just takes a ton of damage. If you're not focusing him down, he's very hard to kill.
I don't know. We blew him up pretty easily in our game.
I'm just gonna hold my tongue.
That's right.
Boom. But I actually think this is actually a pretty good buff to him. I think what was his win rate before? Like 45%?
When he first came out? When he first got...
Yeah.
With the changes? It was like 42 or something, right? It was sub 45.
Well, he was like below 40% the first couple days, but then he rose up to about 50%.
Okay. I think this is good. I think this is the last thing they may change a couple numbers, maybe, but I think this is where he should be. What do you guys think about that? Does that sound about right?
Well, it looks like for him, he has good survivability, but you still got to know how to use the fire stomp and use the overpower and the charge along with that. And I think a little bit differently than it's been used before. So I think that's the biggest thing. This is definitely a buff.
Yeah.
With the healing from fire stomp and the increased health. So.
Okay.
Also, they fixed the bug on his lightning breath.
Yeah.
Does it say that? Is at the bottom, right?
Yeah, that's at the bottom. But they weren't gonna let lightning breath be chosen in HGC because of that buff.
Yeah.
Came out and said they fixed it.
That's probably why they had all the other changes with the hitboxes too.
Maybe that's why they did this patch.
Yeah, just
because of that one thing they wanted to have Diablo be available. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Going back to the discussion earlier, like he has been pretty quickly rising up in pick rate, and so I think not having them in mid-season brawl would have totally thrown everyone off, because no one, I think, would have picked Diablo in that case. Just from what I've been seeing, Lightning Breath is kind of the more relied on heroic these days, and I don't know if that's just from people experimenting with it at this point. But I think to remove that option entirely, almost everyone was treating it as Diablo won't get picked, so now who is that new priority in terms of your tank? And I think that's what a lot of people were really upset about. So
I think that maybe his pick rate has been up a lot because of the cool skins, the wrestling skins.
Possibly that too. Maybe we want to see some good Nexomania skins in mid-season brawl. That's all we really want.
Hell yeah! Oh, were you Lenora or Sonya, by the way?
Sonya.
Oh, there it is.
I'm CatPeach, and she was dressed as a cat. I couldn't not pick her.
Yeah, everyone went Lunara. I went Sonya too. So
Lunara got the rework.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why everybody went her.
Okay. All right, so Garrosh got nerfed, right?
Good.
Yeah,
thank God.
yeah, he just straight got nerfed.
Yeah, good. Actually, do you guys?
He's not that powerful, I think.
Yeah,
but
so,
yeah, it's cool.
So actually, Garrosh has been first banned a lot, or at least quite often. Like, do you guys, Kat? Do you think that he'll be more first picked or first banned? Sorry, in drafts now.
It's hard to tell. 1 second of a difference on Groundbreaker could be a issue. 2 seconds for Wrecking Ball, like, I don't know if it's that big of a deal. I think he's still going to be pretty up there. I think simply the displacement that he has available is really valuable, and so given that that's still, who he is, especially, going back to Urel, like, if she's taking that Sacred Ground heroic, the value of that kind of displacement to just, like, flip her out is going to rise even more in value, I think. So I think he's still going to be pretty highly prioritized. Possibly still first pick, first ban worthy. Maybe second rotation. I don't think he's going to fall off, though.
Yeah. The Q build hurt because on top of the Q stunning and being part of his combo, later on in the game when you get the talent for it, it gives you a shield too, so it hurts his survivability as well as his crowd control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So Johanna, so they removed her physical armor. Again, I forgot she had physical armor, but she got that removed.
That's probably one of the biggest changes for tanks because she had 25 physical armor. That's a pretty significant chunk.
Yeah.
If she was picked on top of that armor and her blind, you didn't want to go a auto attack hero against her really. Mm-hmm. And now that kind of takes away that advantage she had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think of all the tanks that lost their armor, I think this is like the one that she got affected the least. At least for lower levels. Because I don't think anyone in Silver was ever saying, "Oh shit, they went Johanna, we should go Chromie now." I don't think anyone ever said that.
Yeah, but she went Johanna. I can't go auto attack Vala. I can't go Zul'jin or Phoenix or. Mm-hmm. Basically, you did not want like any strong auto attack heroes unless you were gonna completely ignore her. But then she still had the blind too, so
yeah.
Wait, the big question is: are you gonna put Sand on Johanna again with these changes?
We've already had discussions about it depends who we play against. With Bacon no longer playing in Bush League, I guess.
Wait, is that official? Have we made that announcement official?
You told us privately. It's official now, isn't it? But anyway, so it depends who we play against. If it's your team, then we can actually just do whatever we want. But if it's Bacon's team, then we have to actually coordinate and have ideas of drafting. So it all depends. But yes, I will not confirm nor deny your question. Or answer to your question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's gonna do the same thing in Bush League of just walk around casting W. What more do you need to do?
Well, when you have the fringe, you don't have to do any more than that. All right, but anyway, all right. So that's it. Is there overall with the changes that were live today? Anything else at all from the patch that you guys want to talk about?
I'm just thinking more about that map and how I don't like the armor the boss has per keep up. I think that's kind of. What's the right word? Janky? I don't know. I wish they had a better way to do that. Not thinking about it some more. So,
actually, that spurred a question. So, Scott, you're a support main, essentially. Who is the best support now in the meta after all these changes? Because I have no idea who. I think it's all comp specific now.
Maybe Malfurion 1, Deckard Cain 2.
Okay.
I think Deckard Cain's more viable than Stukov, or stronger than Stukov overall?
Well, Stukov got the health or the healing buff, so maybe he's about even with Deckard Cain now. But Yeah, the lurking arm nerf hurt him pretty significantly.
The thing is that with Deckard Cain is that it relies upon your team to get a lot of those heals sometimes, right? Obviously, if you're a master level player, you throw the heals in the right spot at all times, but most players aren't, a bacon level Deckard Cain.
It's really hard to even throw the heals in the right spot because people are moving around and stuff. You throw it where they are, you miss a lot. The team's got to be aware. They got to watch their life. Oh shit, I'm getting low. There's a health potion right next to me that missed me. Grab it, go back to dealing damage.
The correct thing is that the potential, Deckard has the highest potential to be the best healer.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good way of putting it, yeah.
Yeah.
If played well, he's got the potential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his healing numbers are pretty good. He provides a lot of crowd control.
Mm-hmm.
And that's everything because he doesn't do any kind of damage, really.
All right. So Kat, do you think that Deckard Cain is the best healer then? No? Yes?
I don't think he's the best, but he's pretty good if you can get the heals where they need to go. But if you have a team that is accidentally grabbing heals away from other people, it's pretty frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So like higher level, absolutely. Lower level, probably going to be a little bit difficult for some folks, which is why like I still kind of put Stukov, I think, a bit above even with the lurking arm nerf because some people just still don't know how to play around things. Like, it's still a silence. It is still a silence on the ground, and people still don't realize that you shouldn't walk through it. So, depending on who you are, you might get more bang out of your buck with Stukov, but...
Yeah, I think at the lower levels, it's still Stukov, because people will still have team fights on the lurking arm. Yeah, they'll just keep fighting on it. I'm like, okay, that's happening. Yeah. So, but... All right, so lastly, I want to talk about a movie called Upgrade. For those of you who say that I'm very hoity-toity with my movie recommendations, this is a...
Did we say that? I haven't heard anyone say that.
Some people have said that in Discord, that I'm like, I don't like these artsy, independent films. This is a grindhouse film, and it's very much a R-rated film, and it's actually really good. And I saw it in theaters on Sunday. And I very much enjoyed it. So it's a movie where you just you go to the movie theater, you get a small popcorn, and you just enjoy yourself. You don't have to think about too much, and you get to see a guy who looks like Tom Hardy go on a killing spree. So what else do you want? So it's very good. So, and I highly recommend it. So all right. So
yes, is it up there with like? What was that movie? The Mechanic, or one of those other Jason Statham movies? Is it a Jason Statham movie?
No, what?
Is it just like a Jason Statham movie? Is what you're saying?
It reminded me a lot of Hobo with a Shotgun, another grindhouse film that I really love a lot.
Hobo with a Shotgun.
Fuck yeah!
Gonna check that out.
That was a little bit too intense, actually.
It has the guy from Blade Runner, the bad guy.
Okay.
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, Rutger, whatever his name is. He's really good in that
blonde
film,
dude.
Too. Yeah, he's really good. But it's a grindhouse film. Like, there's going to be gratuitous violence, but this one is like not as violent. But it's definitely like there are a lot of chuckles, intended chuckles, and like big laughs during fight scenes because of like the stuff that he does. But no, it's not like The Mechanic and stuff like that. That's more of like grindhouse films are more like low budget. Like Jason Statham films, like like the new one where he's fighting like a shark. Have you seen the trailer for that?
No. What?
He's fighting like a shark that's like the size of like New York.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's like in a submarine and he's fighting this big shark. And he's
How can you fight a shark in a submarine?
He's like, we have to kill this shark, and they show the shark being like as big as like New York essentially. And they're like,
wait.
He's at it.
Okay, he's not kung fuing the shark.
No, he's gonna shoot it.
If he was kung fuing the shark, that would be even better.
I would watch that.
He's in a wetsuit fighting him hand to hand.
Well, they had that on Tomb Raider, that second Tomb Raider, where she was punching out sharks. I remember that.
Yeah, but no. So Jason Statham is more in high budget films. This is a grindhouse film. It's relatively
high budget films.
Yeah, like a grindhouse film, you spend like less than $100,000 to make it, I think. So, but it's very good. So I recommend it. So again, thank you, CatPeach, for joining us and lowering your standards this week.
Lowest they've ever been.
I haven't heard that before.
That's a compliment.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, for us, it's a huge compliment. So.
Well, look, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, but thank you again. We really appreciate you casting for Bush League, and hopefully we can cast help cast games in season 2 because we would love to have you do that.
I would love to do that. Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
You know where to find me. Call me up.
Yeah.
Hit me on my flip phone.
Oh, do you actually have a flip phone?
No.
Oh.
But that would be really cool if I did.
I actually had like I just upgraded a phone like a month ago, but before that I had like a phone for like 10 years. So I finally succumbed to it. So.
I mean, I flip my phone in the air sometimes, so maybe that counts.
You know what I found is that like I'm looking at my phone all the time now. Like I'm watching like YouTube and shit like when I'm in bed now.
Yeah. Getting updates from Discord.
It's awful. I hate it. Like
you love it? It's the best thing that's ever happened to you?
Yeah, you're quickly finding you can't live without it. You didn't know what you were missing before, and now that you do,
I know.
You realize the beast you unleashed.
Oh God, yeah. I'm seriously considering turning off Wi-Fi on the phone, so I can't do anything with it besides like text and get phone calls. So I don't know, but anyway, all right. So
Discord for sure. I mean, that thing never sleeps since I started getting on that thing.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Yeah, some of our
every
fans
day, any time of day.
Yeah, if you don't go to Discord for every like 6 hours, there's like 100 messages that you missed, and you just can't catch up anymore. Like if you're not there when it happens, you can't catch up on our Discord anymore. So, which is a good and bad thing, I suppose. But anyway, all right. So thank you, CatPeach, again, and let's go to CatPeach. Where can they find you?
So you can find me Twitch and Twitter, CatPeachGG. Not CatPeach. Unfortunately. Maybe one day I'll make that happen. Steal it from whoever took it. But yes, CatPeachGG on both of those.
Yeah, and you cast NGS?
Yes. So season's wrapping up. We're in playoffs right now, so a bit more loosey-goosey with schedule there, but season 5, excuse me, starts up again in August. So make sure to check it out then. I'll be casting a lot more once it starts up again. And yeah. Cool.
All right. Awesome.
Actually, I just have one question. Do you have a bunch of, I guess, trees? 'Cause I see a lot of shadows that look like trees or something.
Oh no! It's my lamp has like they're kind of like
she's in a jungle or something.
Hands that like are all around it. It's weird, and it does that.
Okay.
I was like, she likes plants. So like, all right.
I mean, I do have plenty of plants in my apartment. Don't get me wrong, but none in here.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you do in the off season? Like HOTS related? You just do random stuff and just play games?
I attempt to catch up on my own games.
Nice.
Because at this point, I cast more than I get to play, and so when things aren't going on, I like to play as much as possible.
Have you ever spoken to Hero Physio by any chance? Random question.
I don't think we've spoken directly. No, I follow him on Twitter.
Why would you do that? He's awful. Why would you want to do that?
Some people like getting trolled.
I was playing games with Hero Physio last night, and he actually likes it when we drop his name. So I wanted to drop his name one more time.
Physio? Excuse me? You know him? You got to introduce me sometime.
Yeah. I can definitely do that. I think he. Actually, are you going to go to BlizzCon?
I will be at BlizzCon. Yes.
Ooh, well, maybe we'll see you there. We can all hang out. Yeah.
Wait, is Hero Physio going to be at BlizzCon?
I think so. I think if LFM actually places, what do you call that?
If a miracle happens and they qualify for BlizzCon.
Yeah. But are you going to Con Before the Storm?
I am, yes. I backed it, so.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I went last year and had a blast, so I was like,
okay.
Yeah.
Were you at the HOTS panel? Or no?
No, I was not, no.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because I think did you see like the little rooms for all the podcasts were happening? Did you see that?
Yeah. Because I saw those because Liquid was on one of them.
Yeah.
Because it was the first time him and I met, and I was like, "Hi, we work together." And he's like, "Hi, I have to go do a panel."
Oh, okay.
that happened. So.
Okay, yeah. Because I think if you were actually at the panel, I would have remembered you because you would have been like the only girl there. I think. For the HOTS podcast.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind next time, and maybe I'll make that happen.
Well, if we do go, we'll definitely say hi, and we'll I don't know if you drink or not, but if you do drink, we'll have some beer.
Okay.
Yeah, good stuff.
Wait, are you being fit? That was a joke, right?
No. I drink beer.
Oh, good.
Let's get some beers.
Are you
Nice.
are you an IPA person?
Yes. So, I mean, I used to live in Boston, so obviously New England style IPA. I was
Ooh,
kind
I
of
got
like
one right
in the
here.
epicenter of when that first got up. Yes.
Juice Almighty.
Nice. I dig it.
San Luis Obispo.
West
Brewery.
Coast has been trying to imitate it to a less than fabulous degree, but I appreciate the effort.
There's some good ones. It's kind of hard to find. They're like few and far between.
Yeah.
Have you had Pliny the Elder?
Yes, I have.
And
I believe I liked it. I don't
do you
know.
remember
Leave an
drinking it?
I'm trying to remember. I've
Yeah.
had a lot of beers in my day. All right.
Yeah, if you have more than 2, you're kind of in a bad place.
Yeah.
So, but
No, if I had, I'm pretty sure I like shared it with people because it's like, it's easier to share those kinds of things.
Okay. All right. Well. All right. Anyway, that's a really good brewery. I don't know if you ever go to Santa Rosa. It's like an hour from you, probably.
Check it out.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been there with Scott and Tarbin at least 5-10 times.
There is a line, by the way.
No.
Okay.
You have to go.
There's only a line during the special time of the year, but other than that, there's not really much of a line.
Oh, really? I guess every
Yeah.
time we went, they had the younger.
Well, if you go during the summer, there'll be a line on like the weekends.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing like when you're going to see the younger. That line's crazy.
That's all day. It's an all day thing. So, but
Yeah.
all right. Anyways, all right. Let's go to Tower Baron.
And that's our show, and we'll see you in the Nexus.